It's the beginning of the week here in our Transformer world. We're going to jump into two pieces of Transformer news. First up, what I want to talk about also is I finally got my Omega Prime sample from Hasbro, and I've been messing with it and stuff, and so far, so good. Doesn't look like there's any cracking on it or anything, but I have been taking apart the figure and slowly deep diving into the engineering of it and trying to really figure out what went wrong and how could we kind of enjoy this figure without having to really do any kind of heavy modifications to it. I'm going to have updates to this probably on my socials and probably have a final conclusion by the time we get to Saturday night with the Transformer Slag podcast live stream. But so far, it's a bit messy, unfortunately, how things turned out with this. So we'll get into it in the near future, so stay tuned with that. So let's get into the news. First up, we got some Lego news here. We got... This comes courtesy of the Brick Clicker on Instagram and the Lego Minecraft GOAT Greatest of All Time on Instagram. And we got some more information on what's happening with our Lego Transformers, and we have an update here on the rumored Lego Soundwave, which will include now information of its MSRP, its part count, or piece count, I guess in this case, and its release date. So the Transformers Lego Ideas Soundwave is going to be pretty much the code number of 10358 will have 1,502 pieces and will be an MSRP of $179.99 and will ship out August 1st. So probably a pre-order will be happening a lot sooner than you think for this guy. Now, just to give context, again, we don't have images, we don't know how this guy's going to look, but to give context and a comparison, because this is very similar to our Lego Optimus Prime, because our Lego Optimus Prime that came out in 2022 was also $179.99. It had only 6 pieces more, only 6 Lego pieces more than this one at 1,508. So I would not be surprised if this guy here is pretty much the same size as Optimus, has more or less the same build, and that'll be that. So that'll be kind of no surprise. What they did mention here, the set will include a Lego sound brick piece. So it sounds like it's going to probably have an extra piece that if you push on it with some pill batteries installed in it, it will be able to make a sound wave, probably like, Soundwave Acknowledge or Soundwave Superior, something like that. Kind of similar to what already Blockies is doing with their action version of Soundwave. It's almost like if you have a Soundwave toy, you got to have a sound element with it. Now, that's pretty cool, considering that judging by how this looks, it's going to be the same thing pretty much as the Optimus. But a Soundwave, is it going to have just a Laserbeak cassette on the side and, Condor mode? Is it going to have a whole bunch of extra stuff, like, let's say, an Energon cube or, a Megatron in gun mode? We don't know. Probably not a Megatron gun mode, knowing how Lego is. But this does give us a better idea. I imagine it's going to be maybe slightly shorter than Optimus, if not the same height. And will be pretty much the same quality. Because, the Optimus was pretty great. The Bumblebee, I don't know. That one was kind of a hit or miss. But this one, I think they're going to knock it out of the park. And Soundwave is such an iconic character, even with non-Transformer fans, that I think this will sell quite well in our very first Lego Decepticon. And rightfully so, it should be Soundwave. And next up, let's talk about some Transformers Hot Wheels stuff through Lego. We covered this a few weeks ago, and now we got finally some in-hand photos. A seller on Facebook Marketplace was cracking open the latest cases of Hot Wheels product found in retail and was cracking open the Hot Wheels Color Shifters Vehicle 2025 case and found... finally, what is the identity of our color shifter transformer that we talked about from the listings from Entertainment Earth? And it looks like it's going to be Trax that's going to be a color shifter. So first, a reminder, this whole case assortment of the color shifters, they're not all Transformers. There's a lot of just unique car-based stuff that are not Transformer related. And in all of that stuff of the case of 10, there's going to be 2 Traxes that will be part of that case. And it's actually kind of good news because some of the other characters, well, not characters, but vehicles in this case, are 1 per case, where Trax is actually the more common one. So you might have a better chance of finding Trax here. And also Trax is not like a super iconic character to the mainstream, non-Transformer fans. So you might have a better chance of picking him up. They might be like, oh, that's just a nice looking Corvette. But what's cool about it is, again, it's tracks and it's a color shifter, so it's going to be in his traditional G1 blue with the flame on the hood. But when you douse some hot water on top of him, he turns black. And that's a nice little touch because they could have easily just done something lazy and just do a green or some other. But if it's the black color scheme, that's a nice throwback to a little bit of Trax's history because pretty much, I mean, when you go back to 2003, you had a Lucky Draw Black Trax figure that was like an evil clone. And that Lucky Draw Black Trax figure in Japan was actually like a mild homage to a Diaclon store exclusive that existed in Europe and everything. So pretty cool. That's nice that they're kind of going with that. And of course, that color scheme and concept would later on get a true character in Masterpiece when Loud Pedal was made a thing, when they took Masterpiece Trax and gave it the black repaint and everything with the flame hood on it. And again, Loud Pedal was the only black repaint of Trax that actually had the flame on the hood. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Or if you want to go a little deeper, maybe you could even envision it that it's not black Trax, but it's Alternator's Ravage, which also was a black repaint technically of a Corvette that was also used for Trax. So pick your poison. Could be Loud Pedal. It could be your evil clone Trax from Lucky Draw and Diaclone, or it could be Loud Pedal from the Masterpiece. Either way, very cool. Excited about this. I'm glad that they did this. I mean, there's so many other... Transformers is all about the repaints. So having color shifters, it's almost a given. There's so many different opportunities you could do between Seekers and Bumblebee molds and everything like that. There's so much fun that could be done there. So we'll definitely see more of that. And that's more or less it for the news here today on Monday in our Transformer world. But we got quite a busy week coming up because, again, going into, of course, June, we're going to get a lot of Transformer stuff. So we'll talk to you in the near future. And again, thank you for listening to the Transformer Slag podcast and keeping you educated, entertained, and informed in our glorious robot hobby. And I'll talk to you in the near future.